We are recording right now. Okay, so 6.1, we're going to be covering multiple alleles, sex chromosomes, sex-linked genes, and carrier. Okay, so many human traits are controlled by a single gene with a dominant and one dominant allele, one recessive allele. We've kind of already covered that, right? So we understand that a dominant allele is the phenotype that is being shown. So what color hair you have, eyes, skin tone, height, okay, bone structure, if you're susceptible to certain types of diseases. We understand that you have two different types of alleles, okay? So make sure that you write that down just as a refresher, okay? Right, so with alleles, guys, as people change over time, okay, then these alleles are going to become a little bit different. They're going to evolve as well. Yes, if you can roll your tongue and you can do certain phonetic sounds using your tongue. So I know that the Spanish language, when you roll your R's, that itself is a trait that you either have or you don't. You know, some people just flat out can't roll their R's. Yeah, it's really interesting, right? Well, that doesn't mean anything. She just can't roll her R's. Yeah, it's because her tongue doesn't roll that certain way. Yep. Okay, so you definitely have to write down the top two. Some human traits are controlled by a single gene with two alleles, others by single genes with multiple alleles. Still other traits are controlled by many genes that act together. Height, skin color are both examples of human traits controlled by many genes. Danny DeVito. So make sure that you have both of them. Yeah, I don't remember how tall Danny DeVito is. I know he's shorter than I am. Wow. So guys, make sure you have the top two written down. Okay. Give me a thumbs up if you're done. Is that a yes, John? You're done? Yeah, already done. Sierra, you good? Okay, so when you control more than one gene controls a trait. There are many possible combinations for the genes and alleles. For example, there are an enormous variety of phenotypes for height and skin color. Some human traits are controlled by a single gene that has more than two alleles, such as the gene said to have multiple alleles. Three or more forms of a gene that control a single trait. So the last bullet point is what you write. Multiple alleles means you have three or more alleles that are attached to a single gene. So write that down, the last bullet point. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so here's another example. We all know that humans have various different types of blood types, right? So human blood type is controlled by genes with multiple alleles. So there are four main blood types. We have AB, AB, and O. But these also have variants with an Rh factor, plus or negative, okay? Okay, the next one. Unfortunately, you have to write all of these down. Write them all down, take your time, okay? So the sex chromosomes is one pair of 23 chromosomes for each cell in the body. The sex chromosomes carry genes that determine whether a person is going to be male or female. Okay, they also carry genes that determine other traits that will be you. Okay, make sure you write all 3 of those bullet points down. They look really long. They're not. You've done way worse. So take your time, get it done. Okay. Yeah, every single one. Sorry. Deal with it. Okay, so genes on the X and Y chromosomes. So remember, the double X is female, XY is considered male. We are not talking about, culturally what's going on. We're talking about the actual male or female chromosomes. Okay, we're not talking about gender. Okay, we're talking about actual physical. Okay, so the X and Y chromosomes are considered sex-linked genes. These traits are controlled by the sex-linked genes that are called sex-linked traits. Because males have one X chromosome, and males are more likely than females to have sex-linked traits that are controlled by a recessive allele. Color blindness is one of them. Okay. One example of the sex link is by recessive allele is the red and green color blindness. Okay. This doesn't mean every guy has red and green color blindness. Okay. It has nothing to do with that. It's more common in males. Okay. A carrier is a person who has one recessive allele for a sex-linked trait and one dominant allele. Yeah. That is a form of color blindness because they have a hard time seeing what the real color is. So although a carrier does not have the trait, the carrier can pass a recessive allele on to the offspring. So in case of the sex-linked traits, only females can be carriers. So when it comes to this, a mom, okay, could be a carrier for this color blindness, and she not actually exhibit the color blindness because she's not male. Does that make sense? Okay. So make sure that you write all of them. I'm going to pause recording. You guys can take your time, and then we can kind of move forward, okay? All right, so let me know when you guys are done writing. Okay, here we go. Can you guys read the number?
26. 25.
25.
29.
I'm more interested in the boys because
28.
they have a hard time reading the colors. 29.
I had to do this because I had to see if my baby was good enough to split. 45.
26.
56. 6.
Can you see it, John? A little bit? Yeah. They get hard.
I just did it.
8. Okay. So, thank you for participating in the little experiment. That was not an official color blindness test, okay? I have to make that known. But if you did have a hard time seeing those numbers, you might want to go to the eye doctor just to be sure, okay? It's good to know, okay? So, just so you guys have this reiterated, okay? A female, a girl, okay, who does have one recessive allele for color blindness, okay, doesn't mean that they actually carry it or they have the trait. This means that they're a carrier of the trait, okay? So any child that they have could possibly inherit the trait down the line. Yes?
Would it be able to develop over time?
Normally, once the eyes start functioning, and an ophthalmologist could actually determine it, They're born with it. I don't believe it comes over a period of time. Maybe it gets worse as the person gets older because your rods and cones in your eye can't focus and can't adjust to those colors right as they get older. But I do believe that once the eye is developed, then it's just the way it is. Yes.
But could you see it like this? Like the barely human teeth of it.
Yeah. Some of them get pretty crazy. Okay, so let's keep going.
I have a high contrast on which changes the color.
Okay, so the second bullet point is an absolute must. Okay, so effects of genes are altered by the environment. Many of an organism's characteristics are determined by the interaction between the genes and the environment. Several genes determine human height. However, environment also influences a person's height. A diet lacking in protein and certain minerals and certain vitamins can also prevent a person from growing tall as possible. So environmental factors, guys, do affect your growth and development. Does that make sense?
Like coffee will make you short.
What?
Like coffee will make you short.
Cheers to that.
I had a coffee. They told me that I was gonna coffee. You can't drink it because you're not.
Yeah, you can have bottled water teachers since we're in the shield. We can take sips of this, but not very much. Okay.
I honestly think COVID
Hmm?
is
I don't think coffee would be short at all.
Well, you're not really short, Matthew, and you're young. So
5'6", I'm 13.
you're 5'6". Okay, I'm 38 and I'm 5'3".
You're taller than me.
You're good.
I'm like
Yeah.
5'1".
Okay. So guess what? Right, guys, all done. Yay. Okay. So tomorrow, you guys are going to go over human genetic disorders. Okay. On Thursday, when you're in the Zoom with me, I'll review the stuff for 6.2, the answers, because genetic disorders it's interesting. It's very interesting, but it's also kind of hard to understand. Okay, does that make sense? So when I do the recording for this, it'll probably be pretty long. I'll go into it as much as I can so you guys can really understand it. Okay, so just be patient with that that lecture. All right, so I'm gonna exit out and stop my Chromecast for a second. All right, now here is, oh, that's the meeting. Where are you? My drive went away. Oh darn. No, don't be scared when you see the drive, okay? Why is my drive not working? There we go.
You know how like bold Windows startup thing when you try to hop in on the internet? They make a lot of unnecessary noises. Well, the link is bad. I have no clue what that is.
I said everybody in here is taller than me. If you're taller than 5'1", you're taller.
Okay, so focus. What you guys need to do now is in either online or the physical packets that you have in front of you that I gave you today or last week, not last week, the week that we went on break, 6.1, it looks like this. Okay, this is the second page. You guys need to fulfill the Punnett squares for 1 through 4. 5, 6, okay, 5 and 6, it asks you what the percentages are. Remember, each square represents a quarter. So 2 squares is what? 50%. 3 squares would be 75, and if it was all 4 squares, it would be 100%, okay? So number 5 is, does the mother or the father in A have dimples, okay? So this would be A is in dimples. So capital D, lowercase d, right there, right? Double lowercase d. Capital D, lowercase d, okay? So it asks, which one does either the mother or the father have it? What do you guys think? Well, capital D would be what? Okay, well, no, it's not 50-50. Okay, capital D would be dominant on that one. Dominant, okay? So you guys do the basic math for that. Same thing with the color blindness. Okay, figure that one out. Do the Punnett square, and then answer the questions. And then the vocabulary words are down here that we've covered today. That make sense? Okay. Now to answer those, if you want to do it online and submit it via Google Classroom, literally just type your answers next to the numbers that correspond to the PDF. Yes?
Which one is the father and which one is the mother?
That's a good question. Let me get back to that. So let me look. Okay, so if you look at it, it says the father's alleles are written across the top. The mother's alleles are on the side. So the dad would be capital D, lowercase d. Lowercase is always recessive. Capital is always dominant.
So the dad is most likely to have dimples because he has
He has a capital D. Yeah. Okay, so you'd have 50% offspring that would have the possibility of having dimples. And then the other 50% would not have dimples. Make sense? It is 50-50, yeah. So go ahead. Go ahead and work on it, guys. You have like 12 minutes to try to get all of this done. And then you have absolutely no homework today, right?